Hello, friend. Have you ever walked a good distance from home and suddenly thought, wait, did I lock the door? So you go back to check. It's locked, but you're still not sure. So you check again and again. Once or twice might be fine. But what if this happens every day or even every few minutes? What if it doesn't just stop with doors, but spreads to everything in your life? And what if it's not just about checking things, but feeling an unrelenting sense of fear that something catastrophic will happen if you don't do something right? Imagine living with that fear all day, every day. That's OCD. Today, we're going to dive deep into the hardest parts of living with OCD, the things you don't often see, but that feel so overwhelming. This is not just an explanation. This is about understanding, about seeing the hidden layers of OCD that often go unnoticed, but make life incredibly difficult for those who struggle with it. So, take a breath and let's walk through this together. Because you're not alone in this journey. When people hear about OCD, they often think of someone washing their hands repeatedly or lining up objects perfectly. But that's just the surface. At its core, obsessive-compulsive disorder is a mental health condition that manifests through obsessions and compulsions. Obsessions are unwanted, intrusive thoughts that create anxiety. Compulsions are repetitive actions or mental rituals performed to relieve that anxiety, even though they don't truly solve the underlying problem. Here's the thing. OCD isn't just about being meticulous or fussy. It's about battling an uncontrollable, intense fear that won't let go. The obsession might not always make sense, but to the person with OCD, the fear it creates is all-consuming. And because these obsessions are irrational, the compulsion, however illogical, becomes the only way to feel some sense of relief, even if just for a moment. But this cycle is exhausting. It traps the person in a loop of unrelenting doubt and constant checking, never offering true relief or peace of mind. The psychological war, a constant struggle. Imagine your mind is like a radio station that's stuck on the same thought, playing over and over. No matter how hard you try, it won't turn off. That's what it's like to live with OCD. It's a psychological battle where anxiety and doubt never take a break. Sometimes it's the fear of contamination, constantly washing your hands, scrubbing surfaces, fearing that something you touched might lead to harm. Other times, it's moral or existential, feeling like you might harm someone unintentionally or fearing you're a bad person, even when you know deep down it's not true. But the anxiety doesn't listen to logic. It's louder than reason, more persistent than reassurance. Every intrusive thought becomes a potential disaster, and your brain won't let you forget it. This makes day-to-day life incredibly difficult. At work, you can't focus on tasks because you're consumed by the fear that you forgot to do something or that you said the wrong thing in a conversation. In relationships, you overanalyze every action and word, doubting your every move. And at home, the rituals take over, turning simple tasks into an exhausting cycle. It feels like living in a world where your mind is always a step ahead of you, and it's never on your side. The door that never stops being checked. I've been checking the door for years. I know it's locked, but I check it again. I know it sounds silly, but when I don't, I feel like something bad will happen. It's like my brain says, what if you didn't check it right? What if you missed something? Even after checking the door a dozen times, the doubt never leaves. The compulsion to ensure it's secure doesn't ease the fear that something might be wrong. It's the constant push and pull between the need to act and the inability to feel any peace. Compulsions. The relentless rituals. You might think that if you just stop the compulsion, the obsession would fade away. But OCD doesn't work like that. The more you try to resist, the stronger the urge becomes. It's a cycle of desperation, each act designed to bring comfort, but only feeding the anxiety and doubt in the process. For many, compulsions take up hours of the day. Imagine getting ready to leave for work, but you find yourself caught in a cycle of repeating actions. Checking the locks, counting steps, repeating phrases to avoid bad luck, reassuring yourself that you didn't cause harm. In reality, These compulsions only serve to reinforce the belief that something bad will happen if they're not done. They don't bring closure. They bring more worry, more doubt. And what people often don't realize is that OCD doesn't only target the obvious actions. It also targets the thoughts, making people mentally replay scenarios over and over again, questioning if they made the right decision, or even if they're a good person. The unspoken fear of imperfection. It's not about the prayer itself. It's about whether I've said it perfectly. Every time I mispronounce a word, I have to start over. It feels like a failure, and I'm scared that if I don't get it right, something terrible will happen. For this person, the compulsion isn't about spirituality or faith. It's about trying to fix the feeling that something isn't right. The ritualistic repetition becomes a way to control the overwhelming anxiety, but it never truly brings peace. The exhaustion of being trapped in your own mind. OCD isn't just an emotional or mental burden, it's a physical one as well. Constant anxiety can lead to chronic fatigue, insomnia, muscle tension, and even gastrointestinal issues. Yet, on the outside, there's no obvious sign that something is wrong. This makes it even harder for people with OCD to find support or understanding from others. The mental exhaustion is immense. It's not just the rituals, it's the constant mental energy spent managing fears, trying to predict the future, or trying to manage thoughts that just won't leave. For many, just getting through the day feels like running a marathon. The smallest tasks become monumental. And despite all the mental effort, peace remains out of reach. The isolation, feeling like no one understands. OCD thrives in isolation. It feeds on the fear that others won't understand, that you're just overreacting or that you're a burden. Many people with OCD choose to hide their struggles, putting on a brave face even as they battle inside. This isolation isn't just about being alone physically, it's about feeling like no one sees the true struggle. The emotional weight of OCD is invisible. The constant questioning, the endless loop of worry, the relentless compulsion. It all happens behind the scenes. And because OCD is so often misunderstood, people can feel like they're fighting an invisible battle completely alone. Reassurance that never quiets the mind. Every time I say something, I ask my partner, was that okay? Did I hurt you? It feels like I can't get enough reassurance. I need to hear it over and over again because if I don't, I feel like I've ruined everything. The reassurance doesn't make the anxiety go away. It just reinforces the belief that the doubt is justified. And every question, every request for confirmation, erodes trust in oneself and in relationships. It's not about the partner, it's about the fear inside, the need for certainty in a world that is filled with ambiguity. Rebuilding a sense of self in the midst of doubt. OCD doesn't just affect actions, it affects identity. People with OCD may find themselves questioning, am I a good person? Why do I have these thoughts? Does it mean I'm evil? Why can't I just be normal? It's a constant battle between self-doubt and self-worth. And this makes it hard to trust who you are, who you've been, and who you're becoming. But here's a truth you need to hold on to. You are not your thoughts. You are not defined by the compulsions. OCD may cloud your view of yourself, but it doesn't dictate your worth. Hope, treatment, and understanding. The road to recovery isn't always linear, but there's hope. OCD is treatable. Therapies like exposure and response prevention, ERP, have proven effective in helping people break free from the cycle of compulsions. Medication can also be helpful for some individuals in managing the symptoms. But above all, support is crucial. Whether it's from family, friends, or a therapist, having someone who understands can make all the difference. Healing takes time, and that's okay. It's about finding peace in the process, not perfection. To everyone living with OCD, your strength is incredible. You are fighting a battle that is not easy, and you're doing it every single day. You're worthy of understanding, care, and respect. You are fighting a battle that's not easy, and you're doing it every single day. It's a fight that often goes unnoticed, but it takes an incredible amount of courage and resilience to keep going. And you're doing it even on the days when it feels impossible. Remember this: you are not broken. OCD may try to control your life, but it does not define you. Your worth is not measured by your thoughts, your rituals, or the constant doubts that flood your mind. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of love. And above all, you are worthy of understanding. If you are living with OCD, know that it's okay to reach out for help. It's okay to acknowledge that you don't have to go through this alone. Therapies like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, and exposure and response prevention, ERP, can help you challenge the compulsions and begin to find relief. Medication can also be a crucial part of the healing process, helping manage the symptoms and bring balance to your life. Healing may not come overnight, but with time, understanding, and support, you can create a life where OCD doesn't have the final say. It's a journey, and some days will be harder than others. But remember that you are not your disorder. You are a person with strengths, dreams, and a story that is still unfolding. And to those who are supporting loved ones with OCD, your understanding and patience can make a world of difference. You might not fully understand what someone with OCD is going through, but simply being there, listening without judgment, and offering empathy can be a lifeline. So, as we wrap up today's discussion, I want you to hold on to one thing: you are enough. If you're struggling, it's okay to reach out for help. If you're supporting someone else, your care matters more than you realize. And if you're just here learning and understanding, know that your awareness helps break down the stigma and brings light to an issue that needs more attention. Whether you're living with OCD or helping someone who is, the journey might be difficult, but it is not one you have to face alone. Thank you for taking the time to listen and understand. Remember, healing isn't a race. It's a process, and each step forward, no matter how small, is progress. You are stronger than you think, and your story is just as valid as anyone else's. Take care of yourself, be kind to yourself, and remember, you are enough, just as you are. If you or someone you know is struggling with OCD, reach out to a professional. Therapy and support groups can make a huge difference in managing the symptoms and learning how to live a fulfilling life. You don't have to do this alone.